Let's jump right into this explainer by tackling a modern epidemic that, honestly, I'm pretty sure we've all faced at some point. You know that feeling, right? Where you are incredibly busy, just going non-stop from the second your alarm goes off until your head finally hits the pillow. But at the end of the day, you realize you haven't actually been productive. You've checked off like 50 tiny boxes, but the needle hasn't budged an inch on the things that actually matter. Well, today, we're going to fix exactly that.
And to start, just take a look at this absolute historical gut punch from management legend Peter Drucker. Back in 1967, he basically codified the basics of modern business productivity, and this quote, it just perfectly captures the danger of doing the wrong things perfectly. I mean, think about it for a second. You could spend 10 hours meticulously organizing a spreadsheet, making the formatting absolutely flawless, right? But if that spreadsheet doesn't actually serve your company's strategic goals, well, your efficiency was completely useless.
So, how do we solve this for a modern, super tech-heavy workplace? Well, we are unpacking a really brilliant book by Laura Stack called Doing the Right Things Right. What Stack has done here is essentially update Drucker's classic philosophy for the 21st century professional. Because let's be real, business has evolved drastically since '67. We're constantly connected, we're bombarded by data, and we're expected to pivot on a dime. Stack provides this incredibly clear roadmap to help you navigate all that chaos, recapture your time, and actually focus on what truly drives results.
Now, the crucial point she makes is this juxtaposition. On one side, you have effectiveness, which is simply doing the right things. On the other side, you have efficiency, doing things right. The catch? You can't just be effective, because, you might take 100 hours to do a 1-hour task. But you also can't just be efficient, because, as Drucker warned us, you might flawlessly execute a completely useless task. To master your workflow today, you've got to live right at the intersection of both. Stack actually calls this effective efficiency.
So here's our roadmap for the explainer today. We'll start with the productivity paradox, then we'll break down Laura Stack's 3T leadership model, which is think, team, and tactics, before finally bringing the whole shebang together to achieve effective efficiency. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The Productivity Paradox. Beyond Drucker.
Today's go, hyper-connected environment plays a massive trick on our brains. We literally get a little dopamine hit every single time we scratch some minor task off our to-do list, or immediately reply to a ping on our messaging apps. But we've got to look deeper than that. Unless you're working for a very specific type of charity, results are the only true measure of your output. Honestly, it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes of observation to figure out if your team is actually being productive, or if they're just generating busy work so they look engaged.
Moving on to Section 2, Think, the organizational strategist.
This is our first T in the model. Before any action is taken, literally before a single email is sent or a project is launched, you absolutely must establish reliable goals. As Stack notes, destiny isn't a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. If you don't anchor your team with a crystal clear strategic vision, they're just going to blow around like dandelion fluff in the wind, constantly reacting to whatever crisis or distraction pops up next. As the strategist, you're the one monitoring the big picture, making sure every ounce of effort actually reinforces those ultimate objectives.
Which naturally leads us to a really vital question you have to actively ask yourself when assessing the people around you, and when looking in the mirror too. Are you structuring their environment so they can actually hit those big picture goals? Or are you accidentally rewarding them just for running really fast on a hamster wheel? All right, Section 3, Team, the productive builder.
That brings us to our second T, team. Here, your focus shifts to shaping an environment where the actual work gets done collaboratively. And I want you to notice this concept of employer thinking. This is a massive paradigm shift. When you encourage your team to treat the business as if it were their own, accountability absolutely skyrockets. They just stop waiting around to be told what to do. Plus, Stack warns us to look past the superficial stuff. Honestly, it doesn't matter how many endless strategy meetings you sit through, or how much fun you had at that latest corporate trust-building retreat. What actually matters is building a culture of firm, decisive action that aligns with your strategy.
But here's the thing. Even if you have a masterful strategy and a super accountable collaborative team, the whole system can still break down. So we have to look inward at our own daily personal execution. How do you, as an individual, execute the right things when the world around you just won't stop spinning?
Let's answer that in Section 4, Tactics, the individual performer.
This introduces our final T, tactics. Now, unlike the old, rigid waterfall project models from the past, where one blockage in stage 1 completely stops everyone down the line from doing their work,
Today's tactical worker absolutely must master agility to survive. Agility means responding to a sudden paradigm shift, maybe a canceled contract or a wild new client demand, with speed. It's that ability to swerve onto a new course, stop suddenly, and completely reverse direction without losing your momentum or, frankly, losing your mind.
So how do we get there? To achieve this level of agility, Stack offers some highly actionable steps to really tighten up your workflow. First, let technology empower you. Use Wi-Fi to work from alternate locations if it helps you focus. Second, triage your tasks mercilessly. I mean it. Treat your to-do list like an emergency room triage, prioritized by strict importance and due date. And third, well, this is probably the hardest one for all the overachievers out there. You have to practice purposeful abandonment. If a task is low priority and just doesn't serve the overarching goal, drop it, delegate it, or just completely delete it.
And this builds into an absolutely essential rule for the modern era. You have to protect your time aggressively. Think about it. You would never make a financial investment if it had a terrible return on investment, right? So why on earth do we do it with our time? If endlessly scrolling through social media or constantly checking feeds isn't directly providing business results, you have to tune it out, kick it to the curb, save it for off hours, and refocus on what actually matters. Which brings us to our final section. Section 5, Achieving Effective Efficiency.
By combining that strategic thinking, the team building, and those agile individual tactics, you create a truly sustainable approach to work. And I really want to highlight the inclusion of physical and mental health here. Because true effective efficiency, it's not about grinding yourself into dust. No way. If you don't sustain your physical and mental health, your productivity is inevitably going to crash. Taking care of yourself is literally just as tactical as triaging your inbox. This kind of decentralized, flexible approach to your tasks is what prevents burnout and keeps you performing at a high level over the long haul.
I absolutely love this visual metaphor from the author. She says the tactics are the ores from which you smelt the alloy of doing the right things right. Think of your daily tasks, your emails, your endless meetings as just raw, unrefined earth. You have to actively smelt that ore. Through your strategic thinking and your agile tactics, you're burning away the busy work and the distractions. And what's left behind is this pure, unadulterated alloy of real productivity. That, right there, is how you essentially manufacture time in your life.
So, to wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to carry into your next workday. The next time you sit down at your desk, I want you to challenge yourself to relentlessly evaluate your own habits. Are you just spending time, or are you executing the right things, right? Don't just watch the clock tick by while clearing minor hurdles. Step back, look at the big picture, align your team, and ruthlessly execute only what actually matters. Thanks so much for joining me, and here's to finally getting things right.